Hello there, we're live from our studios here in Kukumlimle. Our digital address GA0992539. It is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. Yet another bloody broad daylight robbery. This time a police officer and another civilian are shot. The police is shot in the head, leaving him dead along with that trader. We're live at the scene of the incident at Kolibu here in Accra for the details, and we hear from the Accra police on the series of robberies recorded in the past few days. And strike by Technical University Teacher Association of Ghana begins to bite hard on students who are wandering in schools. So we'll go across the country and hear how the National Labour Commission intends to deal with the matter as it prepares to meet TUTAC on Wednesday. We'll also hear from TUTAC. Also coming up, to abrogate or not, we zoom in on the vaccine politics as a section of society asks for the deal between the third party for the Russian Sputnik V to end. But how far are we also from herd immunity as a country? We hear the experts and government on both issues. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on our social media handles. You can also send us a WhatsApp message. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. A police officer and a 40-year-old bystander have been killed in a daylight robbery of a Bullion van in a community very close to the timber market here in Accra. Two others are also battling for their lives after they were shot by the armed men. According to eyewitnesses, the men, after shooting the police officer in the head, took his gun and destroyed the locks of the vehicle before carrying away an unspecified amount of money. Watch this. I'm at the menu. I'm going to be a few. I'm going to be a It's a chaotic scene as it was. Maxwell Agbagba is there right now, and let's talk to him. Maxwell, what is happening right now? We'll get Maxwell Agbagba on the line shortly, but this is just one of a recent spate of armed robberies there. These people you see in the video are those who were around when it happened. We're told that the bystander who was killed apparently has seen these people, and they shot her as well. They shot the police officer who, as you can see here, was perhaps accompanying this Bullion van. They took his gun, destroyed the locks on the Bullion van, and have carried away some money. Maxwell, tell us what is happening at the scene right now.
Well, Gifty, you're asking what is happening here. Well, it's a bit noisy here, very difficult to hear you back. We are currently at the crime scene. We have crime scene investigators who are going around taking the necessary evidence here. What is happening right now? We also have some members of the SWAT team who arrived on the ground about an hour ago. Just some minutes ago also, we had the mayor of Accra coming here to commiserate with the family. Well, just to tell you exactly how it happened, we are told that this Bullion van here was actually transferring some cash to an unknown destination. Just some minutes when it got to this spot, it was crossed by a taxi driver, we are told. So that lowered the speed a bit for the Bullion van. So at the time that it stopped, we are told that 6 men on different motorbikes accosted the driver of the vehicle, and we are told that that resulted in the shooting of the driver, and then an armed police officer who was escorting the Bullion van was also shot in the head. If you come here, there's blood splattered on the floor right now as I'm speaking to you. The Bullion van also, you can still see the bullet holes on the vehicle. We're told that the robbers fired indiscriminately in this heavily populated community. We're told the entire operation lasted for about 3 minutes, to the extent that some of the community members actually tried blocking some of the exits here, just some meters away from where I'm standing. I'm told that the robbers realized that, so they used a different exit point to get out of this community. Many of the people I've been speaking to are shocked about the brazen manner which the incident happened here. Now, a woman who sells in a convenience store here was hit by the bullets that was fired by the robbers. We are told that she operates the convenience store that is here. One of the bullets that was fired actually penetrated this barrel that is here. So you can see the bullet hole on this barrel, very visible. The first one here penetrated the top, and then the second one penetrated the down. And after penetrating, while she was hiding in this room, we are told that the bullet penetrated this point. She was standing, and then they hit her in the neck, and that was what killed her, according to eyewitnesses. Quite a number of people are gathered in a home commiserating with the family. It's all tears for them. I have a woman here who is quite concerned about the issue. I want her to speak to me, but we don't want to show her face. Okay, well, I'll try and get her to talk to us. But we have the husband of the woman who was killed in the incident. Let's speak to him. Let's find out from him how the family is taking this. It's all tears for the family here. This is the mother of the woman who was killed, 40-year-old bystander who was just doing her business on a regular day, normal day, doing her business. And this unfortunate incident, she got caught up in this unfortunate incident. Let's speak to the husband of the deceased. Sir, you're welcome to JoyNews.
Good afternoon.
How did you hear this terrible news? First of all, condolences to you. How did you hear this terrible news?
I was called on a phone by a young lady to be told that my wife is lying in a pool of blood. But then I was far from home, so I have to rush over here. And I came to, it's true, when I came, it was true that the body has been taken to the police morgue.
So you've not even seen the body yet? When was the last time you spoke to her?
We spoke yesterday several times. We spoke in the night, discussing about the children. And the time for me to call is around 12 o'clock, only to be informed that she's been killed. That's all.
How many children do you have?
We have 3 boys.
3 boys. So, who is this girl? Who is this girl? The little girl.
House help. Yeah, we brought her from the village. Come and live with her.
How's the family taking it? You have our condolences. Our condolences, sir. So it's all crying here, all wailing. So this is the This is the building where the woman escaped to. We are told that there was an accountant in the Bullion van. So it was the driver. We also had an accountant in the vehicle and then a sales girl. The driver was shot in the hand, and then the police officer, we're told by our witnesses, was shot in the head. He died on the spot. We're told at the point that they shot him in the head, he died. The armed man reached out for his gun. They'd taken that gun away, we are told. The sales girl who was in the backseat of the vehicle, we told, tried escaping from this end. She was targeted by the robbers. They shot at her, but they missed it. And then a woman who was hiding in the shop got hit by the bullet, and then she died on the spot. So 2 people have died on the spot, the police officer, and then this 40-year-old bystander who has 3 children. The husband is standing here, and it's indescribable. The mood here is indescribable. I have quite a number of people who are concerned about the situation. I don't want to show her face. So, madam, can you talk to me? You are raising some concerns. Kindly turn your face. I don't want to show your face here. We are raising some concerns about the spate of crime, the increase in crime in the capital especially. What are your concerns?
It's always happened. I've been seeing it in the television. But this time, it's on my own. And it's very painful.
Who is the woman to you?
The woman is my sister-in-law.
Okay.
My big brother had a wife. And for the look of things, I am saying the government should be very smart in our borders. Because one, I am suspecting we Ghanaians, even though we have criminals among us, but the way things are going now, these are a plan and the masterminding from the Nigerians. I will never ever deny it. I will say it and repeat it again. I said this is a master plan from the Nigerians. So the government have to take serious note about it, so that there will be peace in our country. We have our own country, but we don't have peace.
Why are you convinced the other ones?
This kind of things.
Okay, please, I don't want to show your face.
Yeah, this kind of things. If it's not organized by a serious criminal in our country, how can this happen? From my infancy to my adult, I haven't heard this thing before. And it's serious. Don't wait till reach your turn. Start doing something about it.
What kind of woman was the deceased? What kind of...
The woman is my sister-in-law. And she's very good. Very, very, very good. We haven't heard anything about him that he has done this, so because of that, the armed robbers have to come and kill her. No. But if we are safe here, I don't think this thing will happen. So that's all that I can say.
You understand she was escaping from the gunshots?
Yes. When we came, that is what they told us. They said she was in the room. Somebody is going to buy something, so she's going to take it for her. But there is a teller in the van. She was trying to escape. So when the armed robbers saw that the person is running, they thought this woman, the one who was coming, is the one. So they directed the bullets on her, and she died.
You have our condolences, madam.
Thank you.
So as I speak to you, Gifty, quite a number of people are flooding the residence of the bystander who was killed in this incident. I saw some members of the SWAT team. They arrived on the ground, many of them visibly shaken by the incident. In fact, one of the commanders who we met here was not willing to speak to us because he said he's not in a position to, to speak to us at the time because he was shaken by the incident. The mayor of Accra, who was also here, was also shocked by the brazen manner which this incident happened. He was shocked that a heavily populated community like this. Maybe we want to show you the crowd, show you the people who are gathered here. This is the community. This is what it looks like. It's busy with activities. This is very close to the timber market. It's an enclave for business activities, and nobody expected this to happen here in this community. And the residents here tell me that they are equally, shocked by it, Gifty.
Maxwell, it's a lot of emotions going on right now, and it's a very, very disturbing matter. I understand that the police officers who have come are unable to speak to you because they probably do not have the clearance. But we see that they are taking, some pictures and analyzing the crime scene. Have they given you any information, behind the scene, not necessarily an official information of what they've picked up so far?
Well, They will not speak to us. These are officials from the Criminal Investigations Department. We tried getting some information from them, but they feel that any information at this point would compromise with the investigation. So they are tight-lipped and they are not willing to give us any information at this point, except going around and taking the necessary evidence that will be needed to arrest the perpetrators. At this point, I see about 3 police officers also behind them, making sure that the residents do not get into this cordoned area to compromise with the evidence that they need to, collect at this point. So now they are all tight-lipped, not willing to give us any information. It's just the residents who are here expressing shock and disgust at what they say is becoming the trend. They tell me they cite the incident that happened very close to the police headquarters. They cite the Peg Farm robbery, they cite the Gimpa one, and they say that it's about time that our authorities had a grip of the situation. They are saying that Accra is no longer becoming safe. They say that if armed robbers, 6 of them, could actually storm this community, heavily populated area, in the day to commit such a dastardly act, they wonder what they will do, in the dark. They wonder what they will do on a lonely highway. They wonder what they will do, in places where there are not many people. So that is the concern of the residents. Many of them tell me that, in fact, they saw the incident, they saw it happening right under their eyes. They thought it was a movie. They just couldn't move in to help or do anything about it because the robbers were armed. And according to them, they were very brutish with the manner with which they were going about the things they were doing. They said they fight indiscriminately, and not even the strongest of men here in this community could get close to try and salvage the situation, Gifty.
Maxwell, let me find out. We know from what the eyewitnesses have told you that they took away the policeman's rifle. Do you see that rifle there, or did they take it away?
Well, according to the eyewitnesses, after they shot the driver and then fired the police officer in the head, they just went straight and then picked the gun. Now, behind this Bullion van, we were told that there was a padlock. They used their gun to destroy the padlock, and then we were told there was a safe inside where the cash was. So after destroying the padlock, they picked the money, they picked the safe containing the money, and then they bolted with it on their motorbike. We are told that one of them actually took the gun and then bolted with it as they hopped onto the motorbike. One of the community members here who I spoke to said he saw one of them, the one who took the gun. He said some of them were masked, the others were not masked, and what they used to conceal their identity was the helmet that they were using. So really, some of them, they could not see their face, but there are others who were not wearing masks. Especially, they tell me that those who were holding the guns were not masked. And from their conversation and from how they were speaking, the residents here, the eyewitnesses here, tell me that they did not sound like Ghanaians. And that is why the woman who I spoke to earlier was raising concerns about the influx of foreigners in this country. She thinks that that is also contributing to the heightened insecurity situation we are experiencing. The people I spoke to here tell me that the robbers did not sound like Ghanaians. And that's what they've been telling me here, Gifty.
Maxwell, the police officer who has been, first of all, has he been confirmed dead right now? Do we know?
Yeah, from the police officers, we are told that he died on the spot. And we've seen the gory photo, the gory video when he was shot. You could see some of the people who watched the video thought that it was the brain gushing out. We are not in a position to tell what was gushing out, but there was a lot of blood that gushed out and was splattered on the street here. The woman who unfortunately was also caught up in the dastardly act was also in a pool of blood when we arrived here on the scene. She was carried to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So these two people, we can't confirm from what we've gathered from the authorities here, from the security personnel here. 2 people have been confirmed dead. 2 others, we're told, are battling for their lives. We're told that the driver got shot, and we've seen the video of him struggling to get out of his car. His white long-sleeved was soaked with blood. And then another person who escaped narrowly was a salesperson who was seated at the back seat of this car. She was the one who, we're told, escaped through this route. And they were trying to shoot at her, but they missed it. They missed that target. And so she's very lucky. Unfortunately, she's alive to tell, the whole story about how, it happened. So 2 confirmation, 2 dead. We can confirm that, Gifty.
Maxwell, if there is any information that we ought to share with our viewers, let's do so now. Otherwise, we'll leave you to get more information for us subsequently.
Exactly. We'll be stationed here for some time, and we're still getting we're still getting some information from the people who were here. It looked the case that many of them had to run to their rooms and watch the incident, play out here from their rooms. So they all seem to have a similar account of, what happened here. We'll be speaking to them, engaging them to try and understand the circumstances under which this incident happened.
Maxwell, thank you very much. Maxwell Agbagba joining us all the way from the timber market, where this afternoon, this happened barely 2 hours ago, 2 people have been killed. One of them, a police officer. His gun, we're told, has been taken away by the robbers, and there is a survivor who ran away from the vehicle, and the shot meant for her ended up killing the bystander, or the trader whose family Maxwell spoke to. An absolutely devastated situation for the family members there. Maxwell Agbagba there standing by. We'll be getting more information as and when it comes. In the meantime, though, police here in Accra region have increased surveillance in crime hotspots in the capital following a recent wave of violent crimes, including armed robberies and other attacks. Only last week, as you may know, 2 people were shot in broad daylight in separate robbery attacks, one at Pig Farm and one around Osu, leaving one of them dead. DSP Efiatenge speaks for the Accra Region Police.
This year, we have not arrested less than 5 persons, irrespective of in spite of the difficulty that usually we are confronted with. And so, just last month ago, that was on 10th May, one of them got a 17-year jail term, for having also attacked a lady who had just alighted from a passenger vehicle and was just fidgeting with the phone. And so that is what we have observed. We have also observed that the lighting situation on that stretch is very poor. And from what we know as a security service, criminals would always want to take advantage of dark places to advance their criminal activities. And so that was also one problem we also identified on that particular stretch. Then again, we saw that, the Achimota Golf Club and the Achimota SHS, we were having reports of this nature there. And so the district command also appealed to them to make sure that they find a way of fencing their portion. And would you believe that since they did that, we've never encountered any of such reports? The forest there is creating a major challenge for us. Though we have now increased the number of snap checkpoints that we have on that stretch. Usually we had about 3, but now we have made it 5, together with the periodic patrols by our motorbike patrols to augment the kind of police presence on that stretch has really yielded a very good result for us. And that is how come people who were attacked, I think last week Sunday, the same motorbike patrols arrested some 3 persons who were on a motorbike, and apparently they were being evasive, those evasive tactics that we usually see. And so they were arrested. And also on Friday, hot afternoon, we also had somebody who had smashed another person's vehicle. The same modus, the modus is the same. And so that person was also arrested with the timely intervention of the police on that stretch. When you go to the Legon, their medical center, you know, that area too, you can also recount similar, you know, problems within that area. So that place is actually becoming a problem for us. But yes, the problem is there. What do? We began by increasing our presence on that stretch. That is our presence that has to do with the mobile, both armed men. That is how come even on Saturday night, the suspect we now know as one Kofi Mensah, 30 years, was also shot by the team that was there. Always, these are the evasive tactics that they use.
That was on Saturday night, Kofi Mensah was shot, right? Yes,
Kofi Mensah. That was on Saturday night.
And what was he doing when he got shot?
Actually, when the men were on a snap checkpoint, they had this report from a motorist that he has been attacked. And so the police followed up to that direction. And that is why we continue to say that when you encounter any of these attacks on the stretch, don't keep it to yourself. Try and let the police, the nearest patrol, let them know. So based on this, they followed up. And when they were approaching the exact location where he claimed he was attacked, these two gentlemen who ran, as I have indicated, into the bush. So they lay down bush for some time. It was around 9:30 p.m. thereabout. And they resurfaced. They came back again, this time around through another direction. And also, they also monitored how they were also trying to, they pounced on a driver. So immediately the police also followed up. And when they were being chased, one person, I am told, climbed a wall because of the direction they came from. So when this one was also climbing, you know, I think he was hit by the bullet, and so he fell and he was arrested. He was sent to the hospital, treated and discharged, and now with the police, and he's being taken through police procedures. So these are the problems that we usually encounter on that stretch. One, if you encounter any of these attacks on the stretch, don't think that the report is not necessary. We need it. We need it because your narration as to how the incident occurred will really help us to be able to also devise appropriate and targeted strategies in our response to deal with the particular situation. Apart from that too, your reports is still not enough, though it will help us in devising our strategies, all right. But when it gets to prosecution, we will need you there too. Sometimes people say that, oh, we are not willing. Once I have reported, that is okay. But yes, it will be okay for the perpetrator to be arrested. But the criminal justice system does not end there. It needs to go a process in getting conviction for whoever has committed the crime. Otherwise, if it becomes the situation where we are not getting the cooperation from the victim, the case will now be thrown out of court. And where does the suspect go to? It comes back into the community and within the same forest to continue their nefarious activities.
So that's DSP Efiatenge. She speaks for the Accra Region Police, and she was speaking earlier this morning on the Super Morning Show regarding incidents from last week and the weekend, largely around Gimpa and Achimota area. Well, just this afternoon, she has also been speaking about the unfortunate incidents in which two people, one of their own, has been killed. Take a listen.
Today, Monday, 14 June 2021, at about 11:30 a.m., information received by the police indicated that a Bullion van had been attacked. Police swiftly responded, and on-the-spot investigation indicates that the Bullion van was on a daily sales collection errand, and on reaching an area called Adedempo, that is a suburb of Jamestown, some unidentified armed men on not less than 3 motorbikes crossed the Bullion van and started shooting sporadically. In the process, 2 persons were shot and killed instantly. The policeman on escort duty and also a lady whose identity the police is yet to verify. The Bullion driver sustained gunshot wounds and has been sent to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for treatment. 2 tellers who were on the Bullion van escaped unhurt. The weapon of the policeman was also taken away together with unspecified amount of money. The crime scene experts have been invited to process the crime scene as part of police investigations to get the perpetrators arrested. Meanwhile, anyone with information on this incident should kindly contact the Accra Regional Police Command, the nearest police station, or call police emergency numbers 191 or 18555. Further updates on this incident shall be communicated. Thank you.
So that's DSP Efiatenge. She speaks for the Accra Region Police, essentially giving us details from this robbery incident. Maxwell had given us a few of that. She says that gunshot wounds were sustained by the driver of the vehicle, but thankfully the driver is still alive. The driver is being taken care of at the hospital at the moment, but there were 2 tellers as well who were on this vehicle. It looks as though they are also alive. They hopefully will help with this particular investigation. Like Maxwell said, the weapon of the police officer had been taken away, so it is in the possession of the armed robbers at the moment, and the crime scene at the moment is being analyzed so they can get to the bottom of this, and hopefully so. But then the police is asking you to share information if you do have, so that we can track down these armed robbers. You can share that information via 191, and you can also call them on 18555. If you could put these numbers down, it will be very good. 191, pretty easy to remember, but 18555, 18555. You can reach the police if you have any information that can help untangle this situation and to get to the bottom of it. Do help the police. We'll be looking at the robbery cases that have happened recently in the past, let's say this month, quite a number of them, and all involving gunshots. In some cases, people have died. We'll bring you that report shortly. But I want to take you away from the Greater Accra region. Let's go to the Ashanti region, where residents of Ejuso Jamasi in that region were awakened to the stench of a decomposing body of an unidentified man who was buried in an uncompleted building. It is, according to the residents, the 5th suspected murder case to be recorded in that peri-urban community. The most recent, according to them, was a 16-year-old student of Joabing Senior High School, whose body was also discovered in an uncompleted building. Her death sparked attacks on a fetish priest whose house was torched after the youth in the community accused him of being behind the deaths. Ohime Interior of our security desk has more in this report.
The latest victim is yet to be identified. The monk's decomposing body was discovered several days after residents had lived with an unpleasant smell in their homes. George Chiramatin is the assemblyman for Besiansi Jamasi electoral area. Residents say they now live in fear and want the police to bring closure to investigations into already reported murder cases. They also want the local Ejuso Municipal Assembly to provide street lights in areas under development. As a first step, residents want all hands on deck as they form a neighborhood watch committee to complement the efforts of police.
Last time, by the Assam call my police for Abba, Abenshim. And so who will be Aquaquisi. Sorry, I will say, young volunteer, Unipo had to off. I'm a Modico police station. I'm a model Mosam Yinako 2 videos and before more. I check who they will be happy because Madame for the Bramoas, so I'm a beton Modiaco. Ubicra 12 fear. I can hide down with baby. Or I'm hide down with her. Who got boy Jamasi, Ubiasi Jamasi, Kunipoha. A Kunkum say Yana Wokrumha. We can I think this is the 5th time you Kumnipa Okrumwa say. And maybe I be Kumnipa, you be free radio for, you be free police for. Baba ya the also moye, and so still, I dare air cosono. Mantem ha ina kani ni ha.
Intuisha Kania anyhow, Ubejano Dibonea, easy so be Dibonena wako. Mumma Kania Emraha.
I do be a bread because every year Biano, as a for a day, see any Pecumunia de Adeno, and Kuyi, to land was in Bibinti Maton, Koye Biano, as a for a day, is he, and Timisuna Macracuscu, as a Mayumin if you cook from a shop.
Police have since released the body for burial, pending further investigations. From Ejeso for Joy News, Maritime reporting.
A lot of disturbing stories, I must say. We're going to take a quick break and I'll return with some more news. But here's how you can reach the police, especially about this incident that has just occurred this afternoon. They want to get information. Help them. 191, that's how you can reach them, or 18555. 191 or 18555. I'm Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. We'll be right back with more stories. To stay with us. Welcome back. The Fix the Country campaigners say they remain resolute despite the unending legal tussle with the police over the push to hit the streets. They want government to urgently fix challenges facing the country, but the quest to take the message onto the streets has resulted in weeks of legal battle with the police. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court as the matter was adjourned to June 21 for oral argument on whether or not the group should be restrained from protesting.
The outstanding case before the High Court remains crucial for a number of reasons. It is the only pending matter against the planned street protest, and the Ghana Police Service insists that the event cannot be allowed to take place since it would amount to a super spreader of COVID-19. They say that the plan that the group has presented as to how they intend to comply with the COVID protocols during the protests are not sustainable, neither are they effective, and so they want the court to stop the group from going ahead with the protest. The group disagree and say that they cannot be barred from protesting until such a time that the restrictions on public gatherings are lifted. They make the point that in other jurisdictions, various measures have been put in place to permit people pouring onto the streets, despite the fact that COVID-19 is still with us in the country. And so they were supposed to have the legal arguments today, but the late filing of documents by the protesters left the court with no other option than to adjourn the matter to June 21. Some of the protesters, a leader, Adachi Brownson, has been speaking to us in terms of what they make of the situation so far and the next line of action.
Okay, so for now we just got this information, okay, because our lawyers did not file their motion earlier or did not give a copy to the Republic. So what we're going to do is that the case has been adjourned to Monday and we have to come back. So we would have to meet with our people and then communicate to the larger group. This is a movement for the people. So until we get in touch with the people, we can't tell you what we are going to do next. But we are still mobilizing. So anyone who feels like they can help mobilize people in their district or towns, they can visit our social media pages and then get in touch with us. That is GH Fix the Country. You know, we've always been saying that we live in a broken system, okay? And these processes are part of the broken system we are talking about. If we are saying we want the country fixed, these problems or issues are part of the problems that we need to fix. You understand that? So we are not discouraged, we are not disappointed as well. We know it is going to be a long journey. Okay, so we are ready for the journey then.
So the legal arguments will take place on June 21. Reporting for JoyNews from the Law Courts Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
Government has revealed it is in talks with countries including the United States of America and China to procure more vaccines. This comes as the minority in Parliament and some scientists express concern about the involvement of middlemen in acquiring the drugs from Russia. Minority spokesperson on health, Kobina Minta Akando, says government's decision to engage businessmen in the purchase of the drugs will come at a great cost to the country. He spoke on the probe last night with Emefa Apau.
They clearly stated that effort to engage these government-to-government and manufacturers has not yielded any fruit. It isn't me saying it. You understand? It is the ministry saying it. I don't know whether it's in touch with the ministry or not. Okay. So it is not me. I am only criticizing what the ministry has put forward. So that's about that. You see, as I speak to you now, do you know, are you aware that Ghana is on the executive board of WHO? We are there this year. So if we cannot use all these connections to secure vaccines for our country, then what are we doing? You know, you asked the question about the looming third wave. I've heard that the best way to prevent this looming third wave is to do mass vaccination. Okay. And if we're not very careful and we go at the pace we are going now, by the end of the year, if we're not able to vaccinate a certain number of or proportion of the population, then we'll come back to ground zero or ground one. You understand? And so it is very important, even according to their own program. They have a document here. I requested it during the budget estimate.
What document?
And it is from the Ministry of Health. Okay, COVID-19 vaccine deployment and vaccination plan. They, according to their own document, they were supposed to vaccinate not less than 7 million people by 2nd June. I don't know whether, yes, I don't know whether the PCSR is aware of all these documents. Okay. He also made mention of the fact that if I can get vaccine at less than $10 as you come, you don't buy vaccines like vaccines are not tomatoes. Even if I can, I should not be allowed to do that. That is why there's government, there's a proper channel, and that is where they are eyeing. You see, if you have people advising the president in this direction, instead of advising the president to concentrate on manufacturers and government to government, he's throwing it out there that anybody who has it. That's where we are giving the opportunity for intermediaries to come in, and we don't do that. That will not help the country.
Kabna Kando is the minority spokesperson on the Health Committee in Parliament. Now, biologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. John Amoisi, agrees. He explains why the involvement of middlemen is worrying.
This is going into the arms of people with potential dire consequences if it goes wrong. I do recall we had this discussion several times prior to the vaccines coming in, and it was the clear position of the ministry and the Ghana Health Service that third parties were not going to be engaged in this because we all understand the public health implications. Now, there are forces, market forces, demand and supply. These pan out everywhere in the world. Now, because these forces are inherently inimical to the heart of public health, this is why there is legislation which can be activated. For example, in the US, they have the Defense Production Act, which was actually invoked by President Trump in late March 2020 to make sure that the production of important PPE, including ramping up the production of vaccines, etc., was done for the US, even the most capitalistic of societies. So forget about the price. I don't want to get into that discussion, but the very involvement of third parties is inimical to public health in itself. And to think about it, Ghana actually has been part of the Gavi board before. And by virtue of our status as a lower middle income country, if we are seen to be able to go out there and purchase through third parties, it actually limits our negotiation power if we want to receive things for free. I'm just talking pure public health here. So it is really not in our interest to be engaging in third parties in the purchase of vaccines. I may not understand the complexity involved in what is available, the accessibility and all that, but just the concept of third parties in here is not helpful.
Okay. Dr. Amoisi there. Well, you saw the presidential advisor on health, Dr. Nsia Asari, there in that Zoom. He says there is no cause for concern. He's assuring government's engagement with other countries will result in abundant quantities of vaccines by the third quarter of this year.
No, I'm sure, I don't know, you are the presidential advisor on this. I'm sure that you'd want to tell us, because we are told, we've heard from, civil society, we've heard from minority, all asking for an abrogation of that particular contract. Is there really a decision on that? Because you've mentioned that you're not engaging middlemen, but we've seen that contract. Is there a decision particularly on that? Are we abrogating that contract and then deal directly with the government?
I think every contract has got its contract terms. So the ministry signed a contract. They will look at all the contract terms and see if they have to abrogate it. If you look at that contract, it was 3.4 million, but they were supposed to deliver it, what I read, in batches. And they pay only when it has been delivered. And when it's delivered, FDA checks everything before it's even brought into is used in the country. Gotcha. If you have seen what is happening at the airport, anytime any vaccine comes from anywhere, there's check the batch number, where it's coming from, and all sorts of things. So that is what will be done. But I will tell you that His Excellency, the President, for that matter, the government is seriously engaged. And as I speak now, we've engaged the US government. We are trying to get vaccines from there, even apart from what is going to COVAX and what is going to the African Union. We've engaged the EU, specifically the British government, to also make sure that we get vaccines into the country to vaccinate our people, as well as the Prime Minister of India. The only problem which happened was when they have the second wave, and then they have to stop or ban all exports. That's the reason why we have delayed. Okay. Yes, it was 17.6 million doses that we said we want to give by June ending, not by 2nd of June, by June ending.
Okay, so there's a plan here, and I'm seeing that we're supposed to do a target. 2nd June, we're supposed to do 7,936.
You can plan.
Okay.
But when you are planning, as you said, man proposes and God disposes. So when you plan and there is a problem, then you look at the plan again. But I can assure you that I'm very sure that after the end of the 3rd quarter of this year, there will be so much vaccines in the country that we can have enough vaccines to vaccinate Ghanaians to get our 20 million.
So our quest for herd immunity is still on, you would say?
It's still on. We haven't changed
by end of 2021.
Looking at what is coming to come in the 3rd and then the 4th quarter of the year, because Johnson & Johnson is coming on board. Dr. Wandare and Dr. Moisi talk about even getting Pfizer and the rest. We are also in the process of improving our cold chain system so that we can bring in Pfizer and Moderna to make sure that we have the whole range of vaccines in this country. So I'm assuring Ghanaians that that is what we are doing. The $10 I told Honorable Akando is that I just threw it in, that if he can get $10 for us. I'm not saying
he tells you it's not our quest for herd immunity. Professor Wandare, still achievable, yes or no?
It's achievable, but earliest will be 2022.
Okay. Professor Karam, for you, our quest for herd immunity, achievable?
Well, it's achievable. I mean, as I've always been saying, herd immunity is only achievable with massive vaccination.
Okay.
So I will not put the time on it, but I think I'll probably also go for 2022.
2022. Dr. Moisi?
No, I think it is highly achievable. It could actually be achievable faster than we think, but only until we understand what our seroprevalence figures are. And if we can vaccinate to meet that gap as quickly as possible, then even maybe 2021, late 2021, we could do it. But it depends on all these variables.
MFA Apau with her panelists last night there. Now, Chairman of Parliament's Appointment Committee, Joe Osei-Owusu, has rejected claims by the minority that last Friday's vetting session by the committee amounted to disrespect of the Speaker's directive. Minority MPs were absent from the committee sitting on Friday which vetted Martin Ejei-Mensah-Korsah and 3 others. The minority had indicated they were boycotting the session of Mr. Korsah over the violence in Techiman South, but they ended up not vetting the others. The minority says it will not support approval of Mr. Korsah for the position, but Mr. Osei-Owusu says the committee has recommended his approval at the plenary.
It is true that on Friday, the ranking member told me that the Speaker has said we should go out and do tree planting, so Parliament will not sit on Friday. But soon after that, the majority leader came in, and I asked him of that because Parliament had then not convened. So it appears it is a pre-sitting meeting. And the majority leader said, no, the Appointments Committee is not part. We should continue with our work. That was in the presence of the ranking member, who is the minority leader. At the close of work on the Friday, members of this committee actually met and discussed whether we would continue with our program or whether we will reschedule the meeting on Friday. And we're unanimous that we will continue with our meeting. I'm hearing today that after we had concluded and left, members of the minority went out to another meeting of theirs, and they sent somebody to communicate to me that we should postpone the meeting. That was not a meeting of the committee. At best, it's a suggestion which the committee, if we met again, could have considered. But it was Honorable Muntaka who called me around 7 p.m. that they had decided that we should suspend their meeting. I said, no, we all met and took this decision. After that, it was not open to me to reschedule the meeting. So what they decided was after the fact. After the committee had met and agreed that we would continue, for whatever reason, they chose that on the Friday they would not continue. But they did not bring it to the meeting for the meeting to take a decision, and it was not open to me to change the decision of the committee.
So that as far as you are aware, they knew the meeting was happening last Friday, and your expectation was that they should have participated, all other things being equal. The absence, did it take anything away from the sitting on Friday and the processes to approve those 4 deputy minister designates who
not at all
were voted on?
You see, whether it is in the chamber or the committee, when Parliament sits, it is Parliament. We don't count which side or what side is present. We count number of members of Parliament present. If you constitute a quorum, then you're true to go with the meeting.
Did you have a quorum for Friday's meeting? There are some media reports that there were about 7 individuals.
That is totally false. We started the meeting with 11 members. We needed 9 to form a quorum. We started with 11. When we finished with the first nominee, then Mr. Speaker sent a message to me through the one of the deputy clerks, that I should join him along with the second deputy speaker to perform the tree planting ceremony. So I suspended proceedings, went and joined Mr. Speaker for 1 hour, and we came back to continue. It was subsequent to all that I heard that the minority is complaining that they did not participate in. But nobody can force a member of a committee or even a member of Parliament to come and sit in proceedings. What I cannot do is to sit without notice to members. Once notice are issued, and you can, as I've said, the program was advertised, and we decided the night before that we will continue the program as advertised. And so, once notice, members had notice, I would go on as long as I have quorum.
What happens to the approval process, particularly with regards to those 4? Has the committee taken a decision already on recommending?
Every day when we finish, we take a decision right there. So on the day we finish, we took decisions on all the 4 of them.
Recommending the approval, I guess, including Mr. Martin Ejime and Sakosa, with the minority have indicated they would kick against and are not in support of him being approved.
Unfortunately.
That's Joseph Owusu speaking to my colleague Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. And Joseph will be joining us live, so we get more of what's been happening in Parliament. And Joseph is on now. Joseph, let's begin with why the position on the committee left by Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa has not been filled on this particular committee.
So the explanation that's coming, which is something that's captured in the standing orders, is actually that this is actually something that has to be done by what is called the Committee of Selection, which is usually chaired by the Speaker himself. So at the beginning of every session of Parliament, that committee then has to meet, and then depending on whatever the agreements are, the level of both the majority side and the minority side, the committee then agrees on which member of Parliament is supposed to serve on which committee. And then that committee then brings a report to the floor of Parliament for the necessary approval. And then when that report is approved, then the committees are then considered duly constituted. So what has to happen is, in terms of the replacement, a request has to go to the committee from the level of the leadership at the minority level in terms of whoever is replacing Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa. And the committee then has to approve. The committee brings a report to the plenary for approval. And it's after that report is approved that any new individual who is replacing Mr. Ablakwa can then go ahead and take up that position. And the explanation Mr. Joseph Owusu, who is the chairman of the committee, gives is that in terms of replacing Mr. Ablakwa, decisions on that have to be taken at the level of the committee, and they at the level of the appointment committee then just have to accept whoever the Committee of Selection recommend for approval, and it's eventually approved at the plenary, and then that person can then come and sit in. But that committee chaired by the Speaker hasn't gone through that process yet, which is what everyone is waiting for. But as Mr. Osei indicates, he, at the level of the committee, all that they seek to do is to work as a team, and when they have quorum, they go ahead and get the business done. And so the absence of one individual doesn't affect how they go through the processes and the kind of work that they do in terms of grilling the various nominees.
The controversy surrounding the vetting of Martin J. Mensah-Kosa and how that, if it has been resolved today, was done before we get to the 4 who were vetted, who were supposed to be vetted today.
And so, most likely, a resolution to the whole issue would be seen eventually on the floor. But as the minority has indicated, they had actually indicated earlier that they weren't going to be part of the processes with regards to his approval, and they may not support his approval on the floor. And then we saw a situation where the minority MPs did not participate in the vetting of him and 3 others last week. Apart from the indicated boycott of his vetting, the explanation coming now is that the minority MPs say they thought that because the Speaker had given a directive that MPs should go plant trees on Friday, the committee wasn't going to sit, which was how come they didn't participate in the processes. But as we heard the chairman of the committee indicate, at the end of the vetting processes on Friday, the committee concluded that they were recommending all the 4 they vetted for approval, including Mr. J. Mensah-Kosa. And eventually, if any opposition would come from the minority, then most likely that opposition would be on the floor. And it's one of 2 things. They may just decide to let it all go, or then they may then go ahead and mount that opposition. So we're waiting to see how the processes will unfold from tomorrow and in the course of the week, when the report of the appointment committee on those who have been vetted is actually brought to the plenary for the necessary approval.
This vetting, though, the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Designate Thomas Mbamba's session lasted 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. Help us wrap our head around that incident.
It was a very quick session chaired by the Vice Chair of the Appointment Committee, Alexander Penyo-Markins, who is also the Deputy Majority Leader. The chairman himself was actually caught up with flight delays in Kumasi, and so he couldn't then arrive in time for the processes to begin. So the less than 10-minute vetting session focused on a number of issues, including Ghana's appointment to the United Nations Security Council, which he thought was a very good development for the image of the country. And he again responded to a few questions as well, having to do with how Ghanaians, particularly females who get stuck in places like the Middle East and are being used allegedly as slaves, can be rescued. And he said that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working with other partners abroad to actually ensure that Ghanaians who work in the Middle East are safe. And then he was eventually discharged by the committee. But after that, the minority chief whip, Muntaka Mubarak, who is a member of the appointment committee, then came in after he had been discharged, and they were waiting for the next nominee to actually come in, and indicated that they, the minority, had not had the chance to be part of his vetting, and they had some issues that they wanted him to actually clarify. And then there were issues having to do with possible availability of quorum even when they began the sitting. So eventually, the decision was taken that he will be re-vetted, and that vetting took quite a while, and there were subsequent other questions to him about how Ghana Post can be revamped, because he worked at Ghana Post for a very long while as a motor rider, and he responded to all of those questions. So eventually that process unfolded. 3 other nominees appeared before the committee today in very brief sessions. Let's highlight the session of the Deputy Minister Designate for the Health Ministry, Mahama Seidu, and he responded to a number of questions, including a question on the development that was revealed in the Pay or Die documentary that Corruption Watch and JoyNews aired sometime last week, having to do with pregnant women still paying for services when it comes to maternal health, which is illegal per the provisions in the Health Insurance Act. And he said that he would recommend to his minister that the necessary investigation be done for those facilities that are still extorting money from pregnant women to be dealt with one way or the other. And again, he indicated that this is something that he thought was out of place and should not be happening. He said that it was very much contrary to the provisions of the law, and so the steps to be taken to address that particular concern. He also responded to one other question having to do with the 111 district hospitals that, if you recall, President Akufo-Addo had indicated in one of his COVID-19 presidential addresses that were going to be built within a period of a year in order to augment the infrastructure when it comes to health facilities across the country. The concerns are that about 14 months down the line, a lot of these projects have not even begun. And the Deputy Minister indicated that he's been briefed that contracts have been signed for 75 out of the 111, and that various processes to get the construction underway will begin sometime soon. So that's how the process actually unfolded. Tomorrow, we are expecting the final batch of 4 nominees to appear before the committee. And the last of the 4 would be Mark Okrekumate, who is actually headed to the Ministry of Tourism as Deputy Minister Designate. You know, he used to work with the multimedia group. He would be the final person to appear before the committee late tomorrow after 3 other individuals have been vetted. And then the committee would wrap up its work and bring its report to the plenary for the necessary approval of these 38 or so deputy ministerial nominee designates.
We look forward to that. But briefly before you go, the Inshiaeso MP has been responding to some concerns that have come on the back of how the MP's Common Fund, was disbursed. Tell us briefly about that one.
Well, he used to be the former member of Parliament in that particular constituency, Kennedy Kankam, and the Auditor General has allegedly indicted him over how money to the tune of 500,000 Ghana cedis, that's actually meant to be money from the MP share of the District Assembly Common Fund was actually used, because then the indication is that this amount was disbursed to residents as loans that should have been recovered but was actually never recovered. And so then the Auditor General's report, as we indicated yesterday, is actually asking that the MP and others take the necessary steps to pay back these sums. But the MP has been responding, sharing documents in which he indicates that earlier the money was given out as loans, but when you read the provisions when it comes to the utilization of the District Assembly Common Fund, particularly the MP share of it, it allows for some of these monies to be given as grants so that then it helps boost businesses and don't have to be refunded necessarily. He explains that an official communication from his end went to the Assembly asking for a reclassification of the loans as grants, which was eventually approved by the Assembly. And so then he doesn't understand how come there is the request that those amounts be refunded, because the loans have since been converted to grants. And so he doesn't necessarily have to refund those monies. And for him, there was a very good use of the public resources, because then these were times of COVID-19. The KJTR market, where a lot of the traders were operating from, was not fully operational because of construction activities. And so it was very much unfair to him that the demand is being made that the said amount be refunded. And so those are the responses that he's been giving to the said indictment in the Auditor General's report that's been released a few days ago.
We'll be hearing him subsequently in our other bulletins. Joseph, thank you very much for that update. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. You heard him with those details there. Now, away from that, Ghana is hopeful of using its 2-year appointment as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council to facilitate homegrown solutions on conflict and peace building on the continent. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayokoboche, who announced this at a media briefing, said she's hopeful that other countries will emulate Ghana's conflict prevention strategies to ensure a safer continent. She added that the appointment will also assist Ghana to achieve its Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. Hannah Odami was there for JoyNews.
According to Shirley Ayokoboche, the country's impressive performance on conflict and security situations among member states on the bloc will be replicated at the council. She also mentioned how Ghana will execute her mandate.
With the experience that we have in managing conflicts, all these are experiences that will be useful, because we can give them first-hand information, so that it is not like some people sitting somewhere, some big powers sitting at the UN Security Council and handing down all kinds of solutions to problems. The solutions might not solve the problems. African problems have to be solved by Africa. So our voice there will be very important. The most important is the influence of Ghana is going to soar very high. And that in itself will bring us benefits, the material benefits that we all find very important.
Shirley Ayokobotwe explained how challenging it's been for the country in securing the Sputnik vaccine in the wake of raging controversies regarding alleged procurement breaches.
It is difficult, extremely so, even if you have money to procure vaccines from the source. It is almost impossible. Because just as Ghana is looking for vaccines to buy, all nations are also looking for vaccines to buy. And so it becomes quite difficult to get vaccines even from the source. But I can assure you that we made contact and we still continue to pursue getting the vaccines. It has not been easy at all, not just for Ghana, but for any of our countries, and not just for Africa, but also for other countries around the world.
The minister also spoke about the ECOWAS Summit of Leaders of State, which will be held in Accra with a focus on addressing humanitarian situations and the threat to security on the continent. There will also be 2 other ordinary meetings. One of them is a 46th meeting of the ECOWAS Mediation and Secretariat Council, as well as the 86th ECOWAS Council of Ministers meeting, all geared towards improving the welfare of the African. For JoyNews, I am Hannah Odami.
Teaching and learning at the technical universities across the country have come to a halt as the Technical Universities Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG strike took effect. Students have had to loiter on the school premises, confused as to what to do. Let's begin with Judith Awoche Tando's report after she monitored the situation at the Accra Technical University.
So I'm here at the Accra Technical University, where the TUTAG strike is gradually taking effect. While some lecturers are still going to class, others are not. Students here say that this is really affecting their academics as they await examinations on the 15th of August.
Honestly speaking, me as a student, I was supposed to come to school today, right? So I was in the car with my big brother and I overheard them saying on the radio that teachers of technical universities are going on strike, and I was like seriously? So I got to campus and we're supposed to have law lecture this morning, but our lecturer is not in, and I was gallivanting around on campus and I've heard people saying the strike has been effective, like it's confirmed. So I'm in level 200 second semester and I'm doing science, so day in day out I want to improve more on my learning academics. So right now it's really affecting me as a student because basically things are going on, and even the online classes I'm not really participating to have a clear academic result to talk of teachers going on strike. So it's really going to affect me and my colleagues, because we are all on campus. We were expecting a lecture today and now strike has been called off. I don't know what to say about it. And
actually it will affect us, okay, in a sense that like for us, for me I'm doing LSOT, and moreover to like our courses are very, very plenty, so like we need to be in school so that, let's say, we can get access to whatever like the teacher will teach us. So if they go on a striker, it really affects us. So that one there, we are praying that it won't come on.
Yeah, it's going to affect us because we students, we need to learn to improve daily, and we are supposed to learn to head into another level. And we are supposed to be learning every day so that what we are not supposed to, like what we don't know, we know them more. And like for the teachers not teaching, it's going to affect us very, 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 very severe, yeah.
For me, being level 100 is going to affect me a lot because this is a time I have to get on and out and move things so that I'll get my first class or whatever I wish to get. So going on strike at this time, I don't think it's appropriate, and I think it will not help us. Yeah, so I think whoever is responsible to deal towards it must find a way to help us so that at least level 100 we can do something with our lives, not to waste our time. And at the end of the day, each and everyone is going to write exams. So if we don't do well in this level 100, it's going to affect us probably for the whole sem. So I think we have to get something done.
it will affect us a lot, because sometimes we have to study something that maybe we are not aware of. Maybe today we have a test and we don't know, and like maybe someone that have studied ahead of us, and like we are not aware of it. So like we have to do something about it, because it's going to affect us a lot, because we are just paying fees and like we are not studying. Like it will affect our future. So we have to be wise up, and so that we stand up, so that everything that is going to affect our future, we can stand up for it now. So this is the time that we all should stand up and fight for our rights, because if we don't do it now, then later we will regret it.
Right now we are standing on behalf of the teachers and then the student populace to the government to see to the aid of the lecturers so that they can come back to class. Because after all, we are going to write exams whether they teach or not. And then that one is going to affect us a lot, because even when we are having one-on-one lectures and then they are teaching, we don't even get much. And then right now they are on strike. It's going to affect us a lot. So we are pleading on the government to see to the aid of the lecturers so that they can come back to class and teach for our betterment.
Judith Awachitando, the Prince Apia has been monitoring the situation at the Kumasi Technical University. He's joining me now to give us the details. Prince, what is the situation now?
Yes, Gifty, the situation is that the Kumasi Technical University is also feeling the pinch of this particular strike action. It started over the weekend, especially for the weekend students who had come to school expecting to be taught, and they realized that the lectures were not available. Then continue today with the regular students who have also felt the pinch. And what was happening in the morning was that the classes were virtually empty. A few students you will see in the classrooms, what they were doing was to encourage each other and discuss one or two things. Those who knew what they were supposed to learn in the course of the term, trying to help each other, especially with the final year students, because they were preparing for their final exams and also for writing their projects and thesis. And that has been a worry for them in particular. And for them, they believe that at least some, space should be given for those who are writing their final exams and the final year students, so they can still interact with their lecturers and to continue with their projects. For the first year students, they are concerned because they just came to school and most of them are still here to get their materials, learning materials. And so it's been a worry for students here at the Kumasi Technical University, Gifty.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the northern region, where some student of the Tamale Technical University has been expressing worry about the strike. They said it would worsen their already late start of lectures. The student said lectures are yet to take shape even after 4 weeks. And with this situation coming on board, it would affect that already bad situation. Let's listen to them. We'll be talking to Martina Bugri shortly.
Friday, we heard about it. Actually, we heard it on Friday, but then we didn't know it would be serious today. So when we came, we called the lecturers and they said, don't you know they are on strike? They won't be able to come. But then since school even resumed, this is the 4th week. We haven't had any serious class, and then it's left with about 4 weeks for us to finish class and then write exam. And this is the 4th week. We have 4 weeks left, which we haven't done any serious studies. So you can imagine how it is. We haven't learned anything. We are against your kids write exam. So you can imagine, no handouts. We don't have any information. Even some of the lecturers haven't come to class. So you can imagine, some have come, they just introduced the topics about 2. The rest haven't come to class. We don't have handouts, we don't have anything. And then they will expect us to write exam. So it's to me, I'm very sad because I've come to school to learn, which nothing of that sort is going on. No activities, we are just there. So to me, that is very sad. We are pleading on the government to do their possible best to put things in order for teachers to come back and then school resume, classes resume.
In fact, as we came, the place is very quiet, and in fact, the place is very boring, and we don't know what to do. As we are here, we don't know whether to even go home or what to even do. They didn't tell us anything, so we don't know how the strike they are going to spend. No, we came, we didn't even say any lecture on compost, so we decided to wait when 12 o'clock and we'll go back to our various schools.
When I came, I feel bad actually, because I was expecting by now lectures would be on process and with the students to feel somehow better. But for now, when we came, it's like everything is not in order. So as a student myself, I'm not actually all that happy about it.
Let's get to Martina Bugri, our correspondent, who will join us with more. Martina, it's been a whole day of this situation, and we've reported already that these students are stranded. Has anything changed?
No, nothing has changed yet. What has changed is more serious than we had anticipated early in the morning. They were hoping that at least some lecturers would come up. Those who had classes in the afternoon, some lecturers will come, but it looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon. And so when you get into the school as we speak now, the school is very quiet. Most of them are in their hostels, and those who came from their homes to attend lectures have returned. The students are used to, anytime there's a strike, they would come and some of the lectures will defy the strike and attend lectures. But this one is so different. No one is coming in to teach them. And so they are worried that the way it has started, if nothing is done, if education will be great on their
Martina, hold on, Martina, I'm losing you. I don't know where that interference is coming from, but speak to me again. Let's see if it's better. Okay, Martina, unfortunately, we'll have to end it here, but we get the picture. The picture is in the morning, the students had just come to school. The teachers were not present. They were hopeful that these teachers will some way, somehow show up, at least some of them, as Judy reported here in Accra. But, I mean, unfortunately, that has not happened. None of the teachers have showed up. And you are saying that it seems much more serious now than it was earlier this morning. Martina, thank you very much. Unfortunately, the interference won't allow us to go through with it. That's Martina Bugri, our Northern Region correspondent. We were supposed to speak with the TUTAC President, Dr. Brigandi, and the National Labour Commission boss, Ofosu Asamoah. We understand that they are in a meeting over this matter, and so we'll bring you more of that later. Well, over the weekend, we spoke to Dr. Brigandi, who said that they expect that all their concerns are met fully by the NLC's assurance. There could be some difference. We'll keep our eyes on that story and keep you posted. I want to take a very quick break. I'll be right back. Welcome back. According to the World Health Organization, blood donation has declined by 17% in the African region in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic that has caused widespread disruptions to key health services, lives and livelihoods. Ghana has not been spared the brunt of this pandemic. In 2020, blood donor organizations in Ghana went through the most difficult period of mobilizing blood to aid in healthcare delivery and ultimately to save lives. The situation also had a severe impact on the operations of the country's national blood service. In the following report, Beryl Ernestina Richter tells a story of the impact of this situation and how the National Blood Service is putting in measures to avert the situation from worsening. Apologies, we'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. But the Director General of the Regional Maritime Authority says Ghana has yet to exploit the full benefits in hydrography because of the lack of expertise. Speaking ahead of the commemoration of World Hydrography Day scheduled for June 21, the Director General Thomas Alonse reiterated the need to commit more funds to the development and technical capacities in the area of hydrography in Ghana.
The ocean covers about 71% of the Earth's surface and is a great source of resources, providing food, medicine, minerals, and energy. The ocean also serves as an enabler for maritime transport. It is estimated that about 80% of international trade are carried by sea. Hydrographic information is critical for determining the safety of the water environment for transportation and other activities. Maritime trade, fisheries, oil and gas are major contributors to Ghana's GDP. For efficient exploitation of these resources, there is a need for hydrographic information. Many developed coastal countries, having long realized this important role of hydrography, are far advanced in its application to resource exploitation. Unfortunately, many developing coastal countries are yet to take advantage of hydrography to exploit the rich ocean resources for their national development. This is partly due to the lack of expertise in the field of hydrography and its related disciplines. The International Hydrography Organization, in its quest to promote hydrography, encourages coastal countries to develop the needed capacity. Currently, the membership of the IHO stands at 94, and Ghana is the 92nd member following the ratification of the Convention on the International Hydrographic Organization. Thus, Ghana stands the chance to benefit from technical assistance from the IHO to develop national hydrographic capacity.
Alonse there. Now, chairperson of the National Hydrography and Oceanography Committee, Marian Egan, threw more light on their work and how it benefits the nation economically.
Our products is important for the shipping in the community. First of all, if your charts, which is the primary product of this office, the nautical charts, if they are updated, then it engenders confidence in the system. Newer vessels would come in bigger because now they're sure of the data. Okay, if they think your data is outdated, then you probably have an older vessel with all the pollutants it can get, and also maybe they would also reduce the loading. It will not be optimal because you are not sure. As I'm going, am I sure the place is updated, and I have all the information I need. So once our charts are up to stride, updated, then the confidence is there. It improves maritime trade. Vessels can load optimally. Larger vessels can come in knowing that they can return safely. So that is the primary purpose. And also resource exploration. Through this, you know where there are hydrocarbon deposits. Ghana is very happy about this oil and gas. Yes, more of such data, when you analyze it, you know the potential areas for these deposits. So it will help us know the full scale of the resources we have and give us the economic benefits.
And we'll be doing sports shortly, but let's go back to the blood donation story and about how the WHO is warning that about 17%, we had a blood shortage of about 17% or blood donations shortage. I must say, Beryl Ernestina Richter has that report.
Observed every year on June 14th, the World Blood Donor Day is an initiative by the World Health Organization. The aim of this day is to, amongst others, spread awareness about blood donation and the need for safe blood and blood products. It is also to appreciate the contribution of voluntary blood donors in saving lives. At the Holy Family Hospital, which is the largest health facility in the Techima municipality and a referral point in the Bono East region and beyond, authorities are calling on individuals as well as organizations to come to their aid by supporting the facility's blood bank. Mr. Apia Anthony Mensah is the in charge of the Holy Family Hospital's laboratory.
The hospital is strategically located, so it serves as a referral point for most of the facilities around the region. We receive a lot of referral cases from the northern region, from the upper west region, and even some part of Ashanti region. Because of the referrals that comes to Holy Family Hospital, on the average, we transfuse about 10 pints of blood a day. So when you do the computation, we are getting close to about 300 pints of what? Blood within a month for blood transfusion. So we will encourage everybody to help so that we can save life.
With blood shortage being a major problem, especially due to the number of accident cases recorded in the area, Mr. Apia Mensah says there is the need for the facility to have more blood in order to save lives.
On the average, a month, we have about 2 or 3 accidents, mass accidents. But for the minor ones, almost every day, we get a lot of accidents. We do our possible best to get some of the blood for standby to cater for emergencies. But like I did indicated, blood should always be readily available to save life. But there are times, if the numbers are so huge and we've exhausted our blood bank stock, then it becomes very difficult in managing most of the patients.
For Gariba Marwan Abduraouf, who is the blood donation organizer for the Holy Family Hospital, though there's been an improvement in the number of voluntary blood donors in the area, the situation is sometimes rare, especially during rainy seasons and in the month of Ramadan.
During rainy seasons, we have a lot of cases. You know, as Holy Family, we are serving as the referral center now. So a lot of cases from the rural areas are coming here. So before they will come here, maybe they are short of blood, we need blood. So, and we have like cases like anemia in pregnancy, PPH, postpartum hemorrhage. So during rainy season and the fasting period, because some of them have ulcer and they are not allowed to fast and they want to fast. So we have a lot of challenge. And most of the time, so the replacement is a problem, because when someone is fasting, the person cannot come and replace. If the relative is giving blood, there's no way a relative will come and replace the blood. So we have a problem during fasting seasons.
Garba Abduraouf asks that more education needs to be carried out in order to encourage people into donating blood voluntarily.
For now, a lot of people are coming in day out to come and donate blood. Every day we have voluntary donors. So that is what I'm saying. You have to educate them, the benefit they'll get, you understand, so that each and everyone will understand why there is the need to donate blood.
We met a number of blood donors at the facility. Cletus Abeka is one of them. He says, contrary to misconceptions about the risk associated with blood donation, he feels okay each time he donates blood.
First time me fair, o me ye moja meet me yajuma. Na so me ye ade me koma fu ko ya me juma ba. First time de me suru. Iti me yi first time me sana ba second time. Ma un say problem bi ani ho. Nti wa wu yi da wu no ba ka say ye hu ma. Na so anye hu bia.
He therefore calls on all to inculcate the habit of donating blood in order to save lives.
Me kan ti ne pa say be ka say be yi moja anye say hu bia be yi o yare ana wu anye sa enti ube yi na masuru uyi a abeboa.
As we mark the World Blood Donor Day today under the slogan, "Give blood and keep the world beating," Mr. Apia Mensah called on all to contribute in the donation of blood voluntarily to help support victims and save lives.
Blood donation is one of the precious gifts one can give to his or her brother. Because when you give blood, it's like we're giving life, we're saving life. And no amount of money can buy what? Life. So as today marks with the World Blood Donation Day, we will encourage everybody to help in donating at least a unit of blood so that we can save a brother's life.
The facility, as part of its measures of having enough blood as its blood bank, is today holding a blood donation exercise at the St. Francis Senior High School in Bullion. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
Well, that's it for sports. I want to just hop onto my joyonline.com, give you an idea of the stories you're reading. The most suspected robbers kill police officer, eyewitness, and injure a Bullion van driver at Holibu. That's a big story that a lot of you are reading. You want to take a look at that story and share it with your contacts. Let's Talk Showbiz is how we wrap the entire show up. Have fun with it. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. Let's do this again tomorrow, shall we? See you then.